here to talk about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchain technology is Cameron Chell. Cameron, good to have you with us.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
All right, so Bitcoin back above 4,000 today. Have we found a bottom?
I don't think so. I think that Bitcoin might have as much as another 20% downside. Not in the next week or 2 weeks, but over the course of the next quarter or two, completely dependent on a number of outside external factors that affect what could be happening in those particular markets.
Well, naysayers have been pointing to this big plummet, and it is a significant plummet from the high of around 20,000 to 4,000 now, that it's validation that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are just a bubble, just a fad, not going to stay. Why are they wrong?
Well, they're wrong because there's an underlying technology that's driving Bitcoin, and that technology is, and we've heard this lots of times, but it is as revolutionary, if you will, as something like the printing press. Anytime that you can take a technology and it can have the effect of having to remove trust or friction from a transaction, it's impactful. So the underlying technology is really the value that will be able to drive these valuations.
And that underlying technology, of course, is blockchain.
It is.
Which, as you say, many people have said is the biggest change since the internet. It's really received a lot of hype. So firstly, just explain what blockchain is.
Really what blockchain is it's a ledger. So it's basically a sheet, if you will, whether it's electronic or however you want to visualize it, where you and I can see the transactions that go on there and we can agree to those transactions. But quite often, if there's a contract that's between us and we want to see the results of that contract, there's a third party that might be adjudicating or holding trust for that contract. What's happened now for the first time is that can be done by a multitude of computers that are crunching an algorithm that verify contracts, that verify smart contracts or terms within that contract. So we don't need a third party necessarily. And when you do that, you remove the need for trust to be in the equation because it's handled by third parties or third party algorithms or computers, if you will, and that removes friction. So when that friction's removed, it will have a significant impact on the financial transactions available.
I like to think of it as kind of comparable to a shared Google Doc that's kind of shared with everyone.
Yeah.
But everybody can make changes and everybody can see the changes that people put in there. But why is this technology so much better? Why is it so much more secure and so much more superior?
Well, it's not necessarily superior in every case. It has specific use cases where it has absolutely no equal. A lot of it is being jammed into, if you will, into applications that maybe it isn't the best use for. But where it really shines is where we can remove a very expensive third-party trust agent, and it can verify very simple terms of a contract without having to have the element of trust involved, because you've got the absolute assurance that it's being done in a decentralized way. There's thousands of computers that are verifying these terms and conditions through this algorithm, and which is unhackable and unbribable.
Why is it unhackable?
Well, because it all happens at the same time amongst thousands of computers in thousands of locations.
Okay.
So the hash power or the computing power required to be able to hack that just actually doesn't even exist.
And as you say, this has been hailed as one of the biggest revolutions since the printing press. But beyond cryptocurrencies, what are the real-life applications for blockchain? What kind of industries do we anticipate using this technology more? Yeah,
so there's several reports out there that indicate the really big industries out there. A couple of my favorites, because of the projects that we work on, would be digital rights. So the ability for a creator or for intellectual property to reside on a blockchain, and every time it gets used, it can actually be verified by these third-party computers. Thereby, it's not a matter of hey, we have to see an infringement, and then you have to chase the infringement. You have to hire lawyers. You have to, it's an automatic process that can happen. So that is a great example. Land titles is a great example. Supply chain is a great example. And of course, currencies themselves, probably the most prolific example we know of today.
Yeah, we're learning that Walmart, for one, has now incorporated Bitcoin to track lettuce suppliers in this E. coli outbreak. So we can see it being used in the food industry. Very quickly, if you're not an engineer, what are the blockchain career opportunities out there?
So I mean, it's they're vast, and if you think about what were the opportunities in the internet as it unfolded, it's really if you have an understanding of how the blockchain works and the applications that you can put it towards, then I think the opportunities are really the real big opportunities are in creating. So what is it that you can create in order to that can utilize blockchain? So whether it's engineering, whether it's business development, those are the opportunities that exist out there. In our own company, ICOX, what we do is we actually create economies for very large brands like the Kodak One brand, which we created, and so in doing that, we've got all types of different people that work for us other than just engineers.
Okay, great stuff. Thanks for being with us, Cameron Chell. Appreciate the blockchain breakdown.